Good morning and welcome to Arlington Life. We're so glad that you joined us on this last Sabbath of April. Hope you survived the thunderstorms last night and you're having a blessed Sabbath so far. We're doing things a little bit different today. The interview is on the front side. I'm excited to have Rob Shepperd and Ernie Pyle. Many of you may know them. They teach the Gillen Perryman class down in the Horseshoe in the room number 7, but they're much more than just ordinary Sabbath school teachers. They've written books, and we're going to talk about the one that you did. But first of all, I like to always ask the question, since you guys have been longtime members here, how did you end up at Arlington in the first place? So Ernie, I'll have you.
I began to attend Arlington in the 1970s when it was the old church over on 303.
You don't look that old.
No, I am. It had about 200 members and just a great church family. And quite frankly, I was one of those that was kind of a little hesitant about growing into the big church such as we have now. But I've had the privilege of being in Arlington church. It's been my church family since the mid-70s.
Mid-70s. Now, Rob, I don't think you go back that far, do you?
Well, I was a pastor of the Arlington Church in 76.
70? Okay, I thought it was in the 80s. Okay.
No, 76.
76.
And I stayed the long time of 1 year.
Oh, wow.
And then they asked me to go down to the college, so I spent 13 years down there.
So what did you teach at the university? Or the college, I guess it was at the time?
Yeah, started out as a chaplain, then began as a peon teacher, and then graduated up to the chairman of the religion department.
So how long did you stay at Southwestern?
13
years?
Yeah.
What did you do after you left Southwestern?
I loved the one-on-one work that I did. I mean, the student just kept coming, and so I got involved in the counseling and retired from there and just went into counseling. Been there ever since, still doing it.
Still doing there you go.
Yeah.
And Ernie, you did training for a number of different companies, I know.
Yeah, I worked for 40 years as a sales trainer, and for mostly in the home security business.
Married, Reva.
Yes, yes.
Beautiful wife. Sue was a mainstay here, Ernie's wife. We lost her.
Sue was the one that made things happen.
Oh man, we knew Sue. Sue was an amazing woman. I always enjoyed seeing her. Usually on Friday she'll pop in to make sure everything was going well. She's been gone here, what, 18? Has it been 18 months?
Yeah,
Or
21
so?
months.
21 months.
Yeah.
Anything we did, she was a backbone.
Yeah, which is a good segue to the next question that I have. So obviously, we're sales training, teaching, counseling, and then counseling in the recent past. You started this thing called Knowing God Ministries, and when I first came here, I came to your Sabbath school class. You gave me a notebook. There was $1 in there too. You came up with this ministry called Knowing God that allowed you to travel and share about the names of God. Talk to me a little bit about how in the world did you get into this ministry?
Well, it actually began, Rob and I were sitting in church one Sabbath together, and one of the preachers was telling about we ought to start home churches. And so Rob and I started a home church on Friday nights in our house. And we did this for about 9 years. Oh, wow. And we had anywhere from 20 to 30 people on a consistency. And from that, one of the topics that we did was the names of God. And I'll let Rob take the story from there.
When I was in college at PUC, there was a teacher there, her name is Leslie Harding.
Huh?
And I was fairly new in the church. And when I went to his class, it was like I was sitting at the feet of Christ. Beautiful. And he gave the class was on the names of God. I was so blown away. I'd never read the Bible that way to see what he's like. Sure. I never knew there were that many names in there and why these names. Right. And so from that time on, that's been one of the major things that I've dealt into was the names of God. And so when we got into the names of God in the house church, the people were so excited about it, we decided, well, maybe we should take this a little bit further. And began the Knowing God Ministries. And we said, Lord, If
That's always a dangerous thing to say.
If you give us the place and you give us the finances to be able to do it, we will go wherever you send us. And so that's the way we ran our ministry from then. And the money kept coming and invitations kept coming, and we've been literally all over the United States and Canada and in Hawaii. And it's just been an absolute wonderful blessing.
You know, the appealing thing about our ministry was that we really only had one message, which we think is the only message to have anyway, is that God loves you. Right. And we did this in Baptist churches, camp meetings.
Really?
Yeah, and because the message was non-denominational,
sure.
Love of God is. And what we usually found was two remarks. One was, why are we first hearing this? Because the names of God was not preached very much.
Right.
And the second one, which really overwhelmed us, was I knew that God loved me, but I really didn't know He loved me that much.
Oh, wow.
And if we could accomplish that in 4 topics, 4 names, we felt very successful. We never advertised. We never asked for money. We just kept saying, Lord, if you want us to go, give us a place, give us the money.
And that ministry started back in, was it 2000?
Yeah, about 2, time gets away.
No, it's true. It's true.
Yeah.
But just to see people's face come alive and the joy that they were experiencing every time we went there, and the main thing was to introduce them to the idea that it's there, and then to give them all the literature so that they could go on in their studies. And
so just what the design of the program was, not just, hey, we're going to come in for a weekend, blow you away with this message and then leave. It was, we're going to come in and, like you said, you did 4 names.
Yeah.
And then it was you had materials to then follow up.
Yeah, we give them cassettes with 15 names, notebook with 15 names, a lot of other things, all of it given away free.
And it's really funny, we went to Southern college. There were some individuals that had heard that and told the pastor, and so they invited us out there. And so our first session was in a room with may have been 15 people. Now this is a huge church, and so we thought that was pretty much of a failure. Next year we got a invitation from the pastor, said, I have to be honest with you. I thought, what do these 2 guys from Texas have to say anyway? And he says, I never give up my pulpit. He says, I'll gladly give it up to you men. Wow. And so he brought us back in the whole church, so we did it again. And so several churches have asked us to come back again, and we have another set of names that we do.
Okay.
Ernie always tells them, said, well, if you want to, we'll always have another set of names. There are about 500 of them.
So you guys still travel? I mean, obviously with the pandemic, it's kind of slowed down. But
when Sue passed away, she really was the heart of everything, and so we're not going to. I'm not going to say we're not going to do them anymore. It took a lot.
You get a call like to Hawaii or something, and it's like, well, I guess we'll go.
We might do that, but she was the heart of it.
Yeah,
she really was.
She was the organizer. Yeah. That I do know.
Rob and I just showed up and preached.
There you go. I was going to say the pretty faces, but I'm not sure that's exactly the answer. So now you've transitioned. I know, Rob, you've done some books in the past. Ernie, do you have any other books, or is this your first book?
No, this is the first book.
First book. You have it in your hand.
Yes.
It's called 40 Days to Understanding the Heart and Mind of God. And I shared with the guys off camera that I read it incorrectly. It is designed to be a devotional over 40 days, reading a chapter a day. I read it in 3 settings. And part of that was time, but part of it was I couldn't put it down. Last night I was just, churning through the chapters like, man, because they're short devotional chapters. Talk to us a little bit about the premise, because it's a unique premise that you would not really think about, but I thought was fascinating.
Let me share how it came about. Just as we were beginning knowing God's ministry, I got sick and I was in the hospital for 2 weeks. And so for the first 5 days, I was praying, Lord, get me out of here, take care of me, heal me, whatever needs to be done. About the 5th day, I came to the conclusion that we were just starting our ministry and that God was not going to let me down, that He was going to get me out of the hospital, and I just accepted it. Now I'm in the hospital another 9 days, and I did want to pray that prayer because I've already accepted it. So I got thinking, I don't know how, but I think, Jesus spent 40 days in the wilderness with God, and we really don't know what went on. And Jesus could only pray so many times, Lord, bless my ministry. Lord, give me some strength. Lord, help me be a good preacher. And, how boring. And so I began to think, well, I wonder what they talked about. And then I realized Jesus was going through His humanity to find out who He was, just like we find out who God is.
Yeah.
Well, what if God came every day and Jesus said, by the way, I have a question for you. And so when Rob and Reva came to visit me in the hospital, I told him, I said, I got great news for you. We got a book.
Oh, wow.
Now, it's taken us a long time to put it together. And when Sue passed, we certainly lost a year and a half because I just didn't have the heart.
Right.
But we did finish it. And so this is the premise, was that Jesus asking the Father questions that we would ask Him if we had the chance to sit down.
It is a fascinating conversation every day, because it's one of those things where He's asking questions, like you said, that we would ask. I never really would have thought of it that way until I read the book.
Well, when he told me that, I said, oh, yeah, right. It's almost felt irreligious. Because who are we to get in on that conversation? And so we just speculated if He was trying to understand who His Father was, how did He do that? So that 40 days was so important. But then I began looking in the Scripture, and it's so surprising how many times we see this concept of 40 days. Yep. And there's nothing sacred in the name 40 or anything. But what got me was what happened as a result of spending 40 days in the presence of God. Moses came down that mountain and his face was aglow, and Isaiah, and you see all these stories. There always was this amazing result of spending this time in God's presence. That's the basis of the book.
So I'm curious, how did you guys choose what questions to ask? Ultimately, then, what stories to tell? Because most of it's based upon different stories from Scripture and how God interacted with humanity. How did you come up with the stories and the progression of the chapters?
Well, we took what we thought were the hard questions. Why the flood? Why Job? How could you say David was perfect when he's one of the biggest
Which I love that. I love that chapter.
And so we wrote down 40, and Rob wrote down 40.
Okay, gotcha.
And then when we got together, we've worked together so long, we knew our strengths and our interests, so we just began to divide them up.
Okay.
And he never really ran anything by me in his writing, nor did I run anything by him. We just each wrote our own chapters, our own viewpoint, our own personalities. And then when we sent them to the editor edited. But we never cross-checked either one of us thoughts.
And a lot of people stay away from many of the stories in the Bible because, honestly, it doesn't make God look very good.
No, you're right.
But if God was going to come and have a conversation with us, He says, I will never say one word differently than what's in that Bible. And I thought, wait a minute, something else is here. So we purposely tried to pick the most troublesome texts, the most avoided stories in the entire Bible. And on our knees, we kept saying, Lord, what is it? What is it? And we didn't leave that story until we understood the character of God in that story.
I was sharing with you guys off camera that the story that I was exposed to or re-exposed to was the story in Judges about the Levite and the 12, the concubine cut into 12. I'd even forgotten that was there, but the way that you dealt with it and even showing the love of God in the midst of that, I thought was fascinating. And you did that time and time again. And what I find very interesting is I couldn't tell, it was so seamless. I couldn't tell Ernie what you wrote, Rob, I couldn't tell. It was so seamless from beginning to end of this conversation between God and Jesus that you couldn't tell who did which chapter. And I think that was truly a gift that you guys had, and then obviously as you went through the editing process.
Yeah, and we purposely didn't put our names on those chapters because that's not even the issue.
Right.
What we're trying to do is to put the focus, the spotlight on what God is trying to do. And when something that you write burns in your own heart and you get excited over it, we feel other people are going to find that same experience.
Absolutely. So before I get to, because you have a second book in the queue, I'm going to get to that. How can someone get a hold of this?
One of the ways is through Amazon.
Through Amazon, okay.
And then the Texas Book and Bible House also has it available.
We're going to have some. I'm going to have some available for the churches as a whole because I want to roll it out on here first. But yeah, if you're interested in getting it, Amazon, if you search for 40 Days, Understanding the Heart of God, Heart and Mind of God, or Ernie's name or Rob's name, you can get it there, called the Texas ABC.
Yeah.
And then, like I said, we'll have some available here and we'll make that available to the congregation. So I'm really curious now as we kind of finish things up. You got one book down. You got more to say. So what's the second book?
Well, we feel if we have an expertise, it is the names of God. And so we are now in the process of writing a book on the names of God.
Okay.
Why did God introduce himself as Elohim? Why did he introduce himself as Yahweh? And we're each doing 5 names.
Okay.
So in the book, we'll do a total of the 10 major names that God introduced himself. Here again is a tremendous insight as God revealed himself to people by his name. And we're about 50% through.
Okay.
I have 3 chapters to the editor, and Rob has a couple, and we hope to have this done in the next few months.
Okay. That was going to be my next question. So.
And you know, Tom, we're going to spend eternity with God. Mm-hmm. Are we going to go there and for the first 1,000 years we get to know each other and so on? We find out that we're going to be studying these things throughout eternity. So our approach has not been to try to say the last word there is about these names. Right. Because we know that a lot of people today could probably come up with a name to describe what God did in their life. And they'd say, God is like this. I heard a lady last night, I'm doing a series on going through the Bible, story by story, always asking the question, what does it tell us about God? And she said, I asked her if she'd mind saying prayer. She says, here's my prayer. Wow.
That's awesome. That is great. You guys have made this interaction between father and son so readable but life-changing. I love at the end you've taken and you have prayer that you can pray plus the text that you can read. So if this second book is as readable and as enjoyable but also as life-changing as this book is, God is going to use it in an amazing way. So thank you for your ministries that you have answered God's call to. And it's been just a joy. The last 10 years, we were talking about that we've been here 10 years and have known you guys and knowing God's ministry taking off, and now this new transition to writing and becoming, best-selling authors. But also seeing how God continues to use you guys to share this amazing eternity understanding. Because you're right, we're gonna spend eternity idea of knowing.
Well, we appreciate the opportunity to share this with our Arlington family.
Well, we appreciate all that you guys do. I know your Sabbath school class appreciates you and everything you guys bring. So thank you for coming on Arlington Life again. Go to Amazon, go to the Texas ABC. I will make those available to our congregation. We'll look for that in the next week or so. And Rob, Ernie, thank you for joining us, and we look forward to the
Wonderful.
next book. We'll have you back on when the next book is
Okay.
published. We're going to go ahead and we're going to go to a video as we transition to our next segment. But again, thank you guys for coming.
Thank you.
My heart is so proud. My mind is so unfocused. I see the things you do through me as great things I have done. And now you gently break me, and lovingly you take me and hold me as my father, and mold me as my maker. I ask you, how many times will you pick me up when I keep on letting you down? And each time I will fall short of your glory, how far will forgiveness abound? And you answer, my child, I love you. And as long as you're seeking my face, you walk in the power of my daily sufficient grace. At times I may grow weak and feel a bit discouraged, knowing that someone somewhere can do a better job. For who am I to serve you? I know I don't deserve you, and that's the part that burns in my heart, that keeps me hanging on. I ask you, how many times will you pick me up when I keep on letting you down? And each time I will fall short of your glory, how far will forgiveness abound? And you answer, my child, I love you. And as long as you're seeking my face, you walk in the power of my daily sufficient grace. You are so patient with me, Lord. As I walk with you, I'm learning what your grace really means. The price that I could never pay was paid at Calvary. So instead of trying to repay you, I'm learning to simply obey you by giving up my life to you for all that you've given to me. I ask you, how many times will you pick me up when I keep on letting you down? And each time I will fall short of your glory, how far will forgiveness abound? And you answer, my child, I love you. And as long as you're seeking my face, you walk in the power of my daily sufficient grace.
Well, welcome back. Glad to have Prim again. Well, I don't even call you Primrose. It's Prim because you're kind of like Prince and Beyonce and all that kind of stuff. You don't even need a last name.
It's Primrose when I've done something bad, because that's what my mom always used to say.
And you would never do anything bad. I'm telling you.
Never.
So that was you were sitting off camera over here to the left when I was interviewing Rob and Ernie, and
I just
you did.
loved
It was
them.
great.
It was
a
great. I didn't
interview.
want that interview to end because they were like a staple in our church.
They are.
I wanted to know more. I hope the next book they write is like an autobiography.
I had not realized that both of them. I knew Rob was a pastor here. I thought it was during the 80s, and then when he said the 70s, and then Ernie said about being here in the 70s, it's like, man, they have been here a long time.
We are blessed. We have
We are.
such a legacy in this church that we need to just get all our legacy members to just tell us more about them. I think it's a good way to like pass down all their wisdom to the younger generation.
And you know, it's interesting as you time goes on, and Ernie said it. We lost Sue here 21 months ago. We're all getting older. You may not look any older, Prim, but we're all getting older. But the reality is we got to tell the stories while we can.
We do.
And but time does march on, and our time is quickly going by. So just want to talk a little bit about the reconstruction. Again, we're back in the Horseshoe, the adult Sabbath school classes, in particular, Rob and Ernie's class, that they're back in the Horseshoe along with Room 8, which is the roundtable class, the international class. Want to talk a little bit about Revive, because the painting in the Revive space downstairs is almost complete. Flooring is up next. And so if you look at the photo, you'll see that the flooring has arrived, and we're excited that the Revive space is coming together. We've already talked about, and I don't have a date, I don't have a time, but we're talking about having an open house for Revive when Revive opens up the space. There's the picture. The flooring is there in the center of the room, and it's going to be an amazing space. I was down there this last week just kind of poking around and just thinking about how many people we're going to impact.
I cannot wait until
space.
our clients see all that space and know that it's catered just for us to help them out, and for everything that God is bringing for us to serve our community. We're going to do so much with that place. This was a blessing in disguise.
It was. There are days that we think about, man, the sanctuary's a mess, the stage is still in tatters, but we're continuing on, and we're continuing to change as God opens up the doors for us.
Yes.
Speaking of change, the big change I want to make sure everybody's aware of is of next Sabbath. We're going back to our pre-pandemic times.
Yay!
Legacy will start at 9 o'clock. Arlington Life, so if you are a faithful viewer of Arlington Life, we will be on at 9:45 instead of 9:15. So we'll be at the conclusion of Legacy from 9:45 to 10:15 will be our segment here on Arlington Life. Then YG will be from 11:15 or 10:15 to 11:15, and then YG Life will be from 11:15 to 11:45. Mosaic in-house will start at 11:30, and one of the things you're going to see differently online is that for the first 15 or so minutes of Mosaic, you will not see what's going on in the sanctuary. We will have something tailor-made for you as our online viewer, interviewing baptismal candidates, interviewing families for baby dedication, some other things. We're still working through that, but recognize that it won't be exactly what it was before in terms of just showing Mosaic in its entirety. We want to allow you as our online audience to get a delivery system, a way of interacting a little bit different than just showing kind of our preliminaries here. So again, 9 o'clock Legacy, 9:45 Arlington Life, 10:15 YG Life at 11:15, and Mosaic at 11:30. Children's Sabbath schools
Will be at 10:15.
10:15. We're
Yes.
going back to our old time, and that's going to be online and in person.
In person, yes. All will be at 10:15. I know some for like 4th and 5th had moved up, and then as in-person had moved out to 11, but we're coming back to 10:15. I'm loving this because there are two things I love in this world: sleep and food.
So lunch will come a little earlier because of
Yes.
Mosaic,
And I'll
and
get to
sleep. You don't have to
sleep
be.
in a little
That's
bit
right.
longer.
That's right. The other thing to remind everybody is, as of May 1st, so as of next Sabbath, no reservations for Sabbath school are
Yeah.
required. Because we're going to open a couple of other Sabbath school classes.
Our rooms will be more free, especially with adult Sabbath
Yep.
school going back to the horseshoe, so we're gonna have enough space for that.
So we're getting back to some semblance of normalcy. I know COVID's still real, and we want to continue to be careful and be safe with that, but we also recognize that it's time to get back to a little bit of what we've done before.
And we're just thankful that some of the measures that we have had to learn have helped us to cope with, just stemming the passing on, just keep on doing all the measures that you have taken. And I noticed this past winter, there was not much flu.
There wasn't much flu at all.
Because all the measures that we have been learning to do, just increasing our hygiene, social distancing has helped us. So as much as we can, keep on being safe, and as much as you can, and just come back to church.
Yeah, we're excited to have everybody come back. We have outdoor church is happening right now outside. That will continue. That will be at 10 o'clock. For those who are interested in continuing to come to outdoor church, what an amazing setting out there.
It is.
We're working on our outdoor pavilion. We don't have any news on that. The city of Arlington is still waiting to issue us our permit for that.
It will happen at the right time.
That's right. When that happens, we'll be able to start to pour concrete, and you'll begin to see our pavilion outside. And so we want to continue to have that outdoor worship service. And we're also going to have Vacation Bible School. Can you believe it's that time already?
I'm excited. I am excited. I got to be in the meeting to talk about it. And kids, it's going to be awesome. All I can say is treasured. That's going to be the title. And hopefully Pastor Tom can put on a costume this time.
Oh man, way to put the pressure on me. We are excited because we're going to be able to offer in-person Vacation Bible School. There will be an online aspect to it.
Exactly.
But it's going to be in person, mainly outside. It's going to be pre-K 3 through 5th graders. The dates are June 21 to June 25. And the times will be from 9 a.m. to 12. So if you remember Vacation Bible School pre-pandemic, so Vacation Bible School 2019 was from 9 to 12. And so we're going to go back to that time. It's not super hot outside. It's hot.
Yep.
But it's not super hot.
And they're going to be measures. We're going to make sure that we set up everything with the weather in mind, as well as with social distancing in mind for the kids, and make sure that they get to have some inside time in if it's too hot, as well as a lot of activities outside. But our kids don't worry. They don't care about the heat. They just run
It's the adults
It's
from,
adults.
so hot.
If you came to the Easter children's program, you notice that all the adults were just tired, and all the kids were just excited.
Bounce
I
off the walls.
love the kids in our church, and I am so glad that this is coming back for them and they get to enjoy VBS again.
Yeah, and so go online to register. It's on Arlington Life, which is our weekly newsletter. Please make sure you're getting Arlington Life online. If you're not, we send it out to the emails that we have on file in our church database. But if you're not getting it, maybe you changed emails and that didn't get switched, you can go online, you can subscribe to it, you can get it online. I need to put the link in from this week. I've completely forgot to do that until just this moment. But we want to make sure that you're in the know, not just for Vacation Bible School, but for all the things that are going on. Mindy has a great Just for Fun this week, talking about this idea of sometimes we have blank minds, and that's okay, and that's part of our human experience. So again, Arlington Life Online, you can go to our website at arlingtonadventist.com to subscribe, but you can also go to Arlington Life Online to sign up for Vacation Bible School if you're here on campus.
And to volunteer.
Oh, really? Pastor Allison needs volunteers, huh?
We need volunteers.
Any willing, we've done kids in the past. We've done 6th, 7th, 8th into high school volunteers, plus our non-high school students, our college students, and then
Yes.
those of us who are parents. So it's going to take a lot of volunteers to pull this off.
together, yes.
So you can volunteer, you can sign up. Again, all the information is on Arlington Life online. Prayer meeting at 9:30 on Facebook. Pastor Kevin is studying the book of Ephesians, doing a great job with that. And again, if you miss it at 9:30 on Wednesday, you can always go back to our Facebook page and find it on demand. Wow, there's just a lot going on.
And I'm looking forward to more coming this summer.
We've got, it's amazing to just see, even with the pandemic, just kind of
Yes.
reflecting how much we were able to do.
Just how much we're able to change
Yeah,
for
well,
the good. Just even in just the way we've been doing church, the way
Yeah.
we have learned to minister to other people, to our community. God has shown us so many things that we would have never thought of.
No, and you're exactly right. Whether it be this segment, and I love to talk about how this segment happened, it would not have probably happened as quickly without the pandemic kind of pushing it along.
Yes.
But with Revive, and we're going to talk a little bit right now about Revive, the number of families that we are ministering to through Revive Community Care, specifically our food pantry, has doubled, if not tripled.
Yeah.
This last week, we had our mobile food pantry. We served over 200 families.
That is amazing.
We're going to continue to do it this week in the parking lot. We're hoping by May that the Revive space will be open and can use that kind of as the organizing spot, because we're going to continue to drive through.
Right.
But our volunteers, you talk about volunteers, Prem, our volunteers for Revive have been amazing. Just being here on Wednesday, they drop the food off, the organization that happens. We've gotten some help from Burton Adventist Academy, gotten some help from North Dallas Academy. So you're right, our volunteers have stepped up big time.
And what a way to bring our kids up learning about service and enjoying serving others. I love that. I've been blessed to help out once or twice, because it's an inconvenient time for me
sure.
because of work. But I loved when I was shown some people who were our clients before, but now come back to volunteer once in a while, because this was something that was such a blessing to them, and they wanted to pass on that blessing to others. But we can never do this without our church
volunteers.
members.
Yeah.
And everyone who has given even the one can of food that has blessed somebody's home. You never know what people are going through inside their home.
Exactly. So if you're interested in volunteering, go to Revive Community Care, click on volunteer, and you can sign up for that. We're getting word that our time has quickly gone by. This segment is always quick.
We always
get
have too
back.
much
I know.
fun.
We'll be back after YG Life at about 11:35. So we want to make sure that we have enough time to make the switch to YG. So thank you for joining us for this segment of Arlington Life. We hope you have a good Sabbath. And YG's up next at 10 o'clock.